My name is Marcus Webb, and for the past 8 months, I've been working the night shift at Spin City Laundromat on the edge of town. It's one of those places you drive past without really seeing. Tucked into a dying strip mall between a tax preparation office and a closed-down Chinese restaurant. The building is long and narrow. Rows of industrial washing machines on one side, dryers on the other. Fluorescent lights that hum too loud and flicker when it rains. The kind of place that exists more out of habit than necessity. The previous night, attendant quit without notice. Just left his keys on the counter with a note that said, "Good luck." Management didn't ask questions. They just called me in the next day. I needed the job. My sister Emma was in her second year of treatment for leukemia, and insurance only covered so much. My day job at the hardware store had cut my hours to part-time. I was 3 months behind on rent and dodging calls from debt collectors. So when the manager, a tired-looking woman named Diane, offered me the position on the spot, I took it. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 5 nights a week. The pay wasn't great, but the overnight differential helped. My job was simple. Keep the place clean, help customers, make sure the machines kept running. Easy money for watching an empty room. That's what I thought. Diane handed me a laminated sheet during my first night. Yellow paper faded to a sickly cream, text typed in courier font. "These are the rules," she said. "Read them. Follow them exactly. Don't improvise." I picked it up. 6 rules total. Rule 1. Never use dryer number 7. If a customer tries to use it, redirect them politely to any other machine. If they insist, offer a refund and ask them to leave. Rule 2. Keep machine number 12 running empty at all times. Add 1 cup of detergent at the start of your shift. Do not open it while it's running. Do not turn it off. Rule 3. If someone asks you to watch their laundry after 2 a.m., refuse politely. Tell them it's against policy. Do not agree, even if they offer to pay you. Rule 4. The back storage room stays locked. You do not have a key. You do not need a key. If you hear sounds coming from inside, ignore them. Rule 5. If the lights flicker 3 times in a row, stop what you're doing and stand near the front counter. Do not move until they stabilize. Rule 6. At exactly 3:33 a.m., you will hear knocking on the front door. Do not answer it. Do not look at who is knocking. Turn your back to the door and wait until the knocking stops. I read through the list twice, then looked up at Diane. Is this some kind of joke? No. These are weird. They're not suggestions, Marcus. They're requirements. Follow them, you'll be fine. Don't, and you'll end up like the others. What others? She didn't answer. Just looked at around. Nobody was outside. Just the empty parking lot under yellow streetlights. And beyond that, the dark stretch of road leading back toward town. I told myself it was probably a prank. Some bored kids. It didn't feel like a prank, though. It felt too precise, too regular. But I let it go. I had a job to do. The rules were clear. For a while, that was enough. It was my third week when I broke my first rule. It was a slow night. No customers since midnight. I'd already mopped, emptied the trash, done a full walkthrough. Machine number 12 hummed along like always, spinning its endless empty load. I was bored. Bored enough that I started paying attention to things I'd been ignoring. Like dryer number 7. It sat at the end of the row, identical to all the others. Same white enamel, same coin slot, same porthole door. Nothing outwardly strange about it. No warning labels. Nothing explaining why it was off limits. I walked over to it. Curiosity, maybe. Or just the need to do something. The metal was cold when I touched it. Colder than it should have been. I crouched down and peered through the glass. Inside, barely visible in the dim light, was fabric. Someone must have left something behind. I should have walked away. Should have remembered the rule. But I didn't. I opened the door. The fabric was a shirt. Red. Crumpled in the back of the drum. I reached in and pulled it out. It was dry. And it was cold. So cold my fingers went numb instantly. I dropped it. It hit the floor in a heap. The temperature in the room plummeted. I could see my breath now, faint white clouds in the air. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered once. Twice. I took a step back from dryer number 7, heart pounding. The lights flickered a third time. Rule 5. If the lights flicker 3 times in a row, stop what you're doing and stand near the front counter. I walked quickly toward the counter, footsteps echoing too loud. I stopped when I reached it, gripping the edge with both hands, forcing myself to stand still. The lights kept flickering. 3 quick flickers. A pause, then 3 more, like a heartbeat. Then I heard it. A sound from the back, from the storage room. It started as a low scraping noise, like something heavy dragged across concrete. Then it became rhythmic, methodical. Footsteps. Slow footsteps moving closer. I didn't turn around. I kept my eyes locked on the front door, knuckles white from gripping the counter. The footsteps grew louder. I could hear the weight of them, the way the floor creaked beneath whatever was making them. They stopped right behind me. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The air around me grew colder with every passing second. Something was standing directly behind me, close enough that if I turned around, I'd see it. I could feel its breath on the back of my neck, wet, rancid, like meat left out in the sun. The lights stopped flickering. The room fell silent. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. 30. When I finally turned around, there was nothing there. Just rows of machines humming quietly. The storage room door still closed and still locked. But dryer number 7's door was open again, and the red shirt was gone. I checked everywhere. The floor, inside the dryer, the trash, the lost and found. Nothing. I didn't sleep that morning. I kept thinking about the cold, the footsteps, the feeling of something breathing on my neck. When I came back that night, a note was taped to the counter. Diane's handwriting. Follow the rules, Marcus. Don't test them. That was all. I never touched dryer number 7 again. After the incident with dryer number 7, I became obsessive about the rules. I read them at the start of every shift, kept the laminated sheet in my back pocket like a talisman. But that didn't stop me from noticing things. Like machine number 12. It ran constantly. Every shift, I'd add 1 cup of detergent, and the machine would churn through its cycle. Wash, rinse, spin, repeat. The water that drained from it wasn't clear. It should have been nothing in the drum except detergent and water. But every time it hit the drain cycle, the water was dark. Not dirty, just dark. And there was a smell. Faint but noticeable. Like rain on hot pavement after a long dry spell. Earthy, metallic, wrong. One night, about a month in, I made my second mistake. Just after 1 a.m. I was sweeping near the back when I heard it. A voice. Faint. Muffled. Coming from inside machine number 12. I stopped and listened. The machines were loud. Washers sloshing, dryers tumbling. But when I stepped closer to machine number 12, I heard it again. Someone calling for help. The voice was thin and distant, like it was coming from very far away. I couldn't make out words. Just the tone. Desperate. Pleading. I crouched next to the machine and pressed my ear against the metal side. The voice was clearer now, a woman's voice, crying. "Please," she said. "Please let me out." My hand went to the door latch before I could stop myself. The rule said not to open it while running, but there was someone inside. Someone who needed help. My fingers hovered over the latch. The voice came again, louder. "Please, it's so cold I can't breathe." My jeans were dry. The only evidence was the smell of rain and metal, stronger now than ever. But something else had changed. The red shirt was folded neatly on top of machine number 12. I hadn't put it there. I stared at it for a long time, my mind racing. The same shirt from dryer number 7. The same impossible cold. This time, I understood. It was a marker. A claim. I'd been marked twice now. Once when I touched dryer number 7. Again when I opened machine number 12. Whatever was in this place knew who I was. And it wasn't done with me yet. I called Diane that morning. She didn't answer, but she texted back an hour later. "Did you open machine number 12? I stared at the message before typing back. "Yes." Her reply came immediately. "Don't do it again. You won't survive a third time." It was a Tuesday night, 2 weeks later, when I met Elijah. He came in just after midnight, carrying a black duffel bag and wearing a jacket too heavy for the weather. Maybe in his 50s. Graying hair, deep-set eyes that looked like they hadn't slept in days. He didn't acknowledge me, just headed straight for a washer in the middle row, loaded his clothes, fed it quarters. I watched him from behind the counter the way I watched everyone who came in late. Every now and then, someone would come in who felt wrong. Not dangerous. Just off. Like they didn't quite belong in the space they were occupying. Elijah felt off. He sat in one of the plastic chairs and stared at the washing machine as it started. Didn't pull out a phone. Didn't read. Just sat there, perfectly still, watching the clothes tumble. I went back to wiping down the folding counter, keeping him in my peripheral vision. At 2:15 a.m., he stood and walked over to me. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I need to step out for a bit. Would you mind watching my laundry?" My stomach dropped. Rule 3. "Sorry," I said. "Against policy. Can't watch customers' belongings." He nodded slowly like he'd expected that. "I understand. I'll only be gone a few minutes. I'd really appreciate it." "Can't do it." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a 20, setting it on the counter. "I'll make it worth your time." I shook my head. "No." For a moment, he just looked at me. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. Something cold. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." He picked up the 20 and pocketed it. "All right. Thank you anyway." He walked back to his chair and sat down. Didn't leave. Didn't step outside. Just sat there, watching his laundry. But the air in the room changed. The fluorescent lights began to dim, not flicker. Dim. Like something was draining power from them. The machines kept running, but their sounds became muffled, distant. Like I was hearing them through water. Elijah didn't move. Sat perfectly still, eyes locked on the washing machine. I gripped the counter, trying to keep my breathing steady. The lights dimmed until the room was nearly dark. The only illumination came from the faint glow of the machine's control panels. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Not from Elijah. He was still sitting. These were coming from the storage room. I didn't turn around. Kept my eyes on Elijah, on the dim lights, on anything except the sound growing closer. The footsteps stopped at my back. I could feel it. The presence. The same one from before. Cold, heavy, wrong. But this time, it spoke. Not in words, in feelings. Images projected directly into my mind. I saw myself opening the storage room door. Saw myself walking down an endless hallway lined with doors. Saw myself becoming one of the things behind those doors. Trapped. Screaming. Forever. I saw Emma in her hospital bed asking where I was. Saw the bills piling up. Saw her dying alone because I wasn't there. The images were so vivid, so real, that tears streamed down my face. And then Elijah spoke. "You should have said yes," he said quietly. The lights came back on all at once, bright and harsh. I blinked against the glare. Elijah was gone. His washing machine was still running, his duffel bag still on the floor, but Elijah himself had vanished. Then I heard the knocking. 3 sharp raps against the front door. I looked at the clock. 3:33 a.m. I'd been so focused I hadn't noticed the time. I turned my back to the door and waited. The knocking continued, but this time was different. Louder, more insistent. The glass rattled in its frame with each impact, and I heard Elijah's voice. "Let me in. Please. I just want my laundry." I didn't move, didn't answer, counted the seconds. The knocking grew violent. The entire door shook. "Please," he screamed. "It's cold out here. Just let me in." I bit down on my cheek to keep from responding. Then, suddenly, silence. I waited a full minute before turning around. The parking lot was empty. Elijah was gone. But the washing machine he'd been using had stopped mid-cycle. Through the porthole window, I could see the clothes inside. They were red. All of them. Soaked in something that looked like blood. I walked over slowly, legs shaking. The clothes tumbled slowly, dripping thick red liquid that splattered against the glass. I didn't open it. Just watched until the cycle somehow finished on its own. When the door unlocked, I forced myself to look inside. The clothes were normal. White and gray and blue. Clean. No blood. No stains. Elijah's duffel bag was still by the chair. I picked it up, heavy, and unzipped it. Inside was the red shirt. I dropped the bag like it had burned me. The shirt was moving now, writhing like it was alive, fabric twisting and contorting on its own. I backed away to the counter and stayed there until sunrise. When my shift ended, the bag was gone, but the red shirt was folded on the counter where I stood. I took it to the dumpster out back and threw it in. The next night, it was on the counter again. I stopped trying to get rid of it after that. It was my 6th month when everything came to a head. By then, I'd gotten used to the strangeness. The knocking at 3:33 a.m., the voices from machine number 12, the customers who weren't quite right. But on a Thursday night in late October, something changed. I was doing my usual walkthrough when I noticed it. The back wall, the one with the storage room door, looked different. Not drastically, just off. Like the proportions weren't right. The door seemed farther away than it should have been. I walked toward it. With each step, the distance grew. There was a hallway now where there hadn't been one before. It stretched longer and longer, the storage room door receding into shadow. I stopped walking. The hallway stopped growing. I took a step back, and the hallway shortened. The door came closer. This wasn't right. This wasn't normal, even by Spin City standards. I turned and walked back toward the counter, keeping my eyes forward. When I glanced over my shoulder, the wall looked normal again. Just a flat surface with a door. No hallway. I grabbed my notebook and started writing. As I was writing, I heard it. A click. The storage room door was open. Just a crack, maybe an inch. Rule 4. The back storage room stays locked. The rule didn't say what to do if it opened on its own. From inside, something moved. A rustling sound, like fabric dragged across the floor. Or wings. The door opened wider. I could see inside now. Darkness and the vague outline of shelves. But the room was bigger than it should have been. Much bigger. The rustling grew louder. I stood and backed toward the front door, eyes locked on the storage room. The door swung open all the way. Something stepped out. I didn't get a good look. My brain wouldn't let me. Like trying to focus on something in a dream, details slipping away every time I tried to see clearly. But I got impressions. Tall. Too tall to fit through the doorway. Yet it did. Long limbs that bent at wrong angles. A shape that flickered and shifted like a broken film reel. And eyes. Hundreds of them. All looking at me. All my eyes. My face reflected back at me from every angle, twisted and wrong. It spoke in my mother's voice. The voice I hadn't heard since she died when I was 12. "Marcus, baby, come here. I've missed you so much." I ran, didn't think. Just bolted for the front door, shoes slapping against linoleum, breath ragged. I hit the door hard, palm slamming glass, and shoved it open. The night air hit me. Cold, sharp, real. I stumbled into the parking lot, legs shaking. When I turned around, the laundromat looked normal. Bright lights, rows of machines, no creature, no open door. I checked my watch. 3:29 a.m. 4 minutes until the knocking. I didn't want to go back. Every instinct screamed to get in my car and drive away. But Emma's face flashed in my mind. The bills, the medical debt, the collectors, and something else. Something I didn't want to admit. I needed to know. I walked back inside. The storage room door was closed. I went to the counter and stood there, waiting. At 3:33 a.m., the knocking started. But this time it didn't stop after 2 minutes. It kept going. 10 minutes. 15. 20. The glass cracked, spiderwebs spreading across the surface. I didn't move. Kept my back to the door, hands gripping the counter, eyes locked on the wall. At 3:58 a.m., the knocking finally stopped. I waited another minute before turning around. Someone was standing outside. Not at the door. In the parking lot. About 20 feet away. Illuminated by the yellow streetlight. Elijah. Just standing there. Watching me. We locked eyes. He pointed. Not at me. At something behind me. I turned slowly. The storage room door was open. The thing from before stood in the doorway, not moving, just waiting. I looked back at Elijah. He was gone. I turned back to the creature. It was gone too. The storage room door was closed. I walked over on shaking legs and tried the handle. Locked. Pressed my ear against it. Silence. I went back to the counter and sat down, hands trembling so badly I had to clasp them together. I didn't leave the counter for the rest of the night. When my shift ended at 7 a.m., Diane was waiting in the parking lot. What kind of things? I don't know. I don't want to know. But the rules keep them contained. Keep them from spreading into the world. I thought about the creature with my face. And if they get out? 3 years ago, a threshold broke in a town called Millbrook. Population 2,000. Within a week, it was empty. Every person gone. The government quarantined it. Blamed it on a chemical spill. But I know what really happened. She showed me a photo. An aerial view of a small town. Empty streets, abandoned cars, not a single person. The things that slip through, she continued, they're hungry. They want to be here, in our world, and they'll use anything to get through. The dryer, the washing machine. People like Elijah who've already been taken. Why me? I asked. Why hire me? Because you follow rules. Because you needed the job badly enough to stay even when things got strange. And because... She hesitated. Because I've been doing this for 40 years, Marcus. And I'm tired. I need someone who can take over. I stared at her. 40 years? You don't look... The threshold takes from you, but it also gives. Time moves differently there. I've been the guardian of this place since 1987. I don't age as long as I keep the threshold contained. The photo. The woman in the back row. That was you. Yes. And you want me to replace you. Not replace. Help share the burden. The threshold is growing. The rules aren't enough anymore. We need someone else. Someone who can hold the line when I can't. I looked at the folder. At the missing people. At the empty town. What if I say no? Then I keep doing it alone until I can't anymore. And when I fail, the threshold breaks. And this time, it won't be a town of 2,000. It'll be the whole city, maybe more. I thought about Emma. About everyone I knew. About the world where things like that creature could walk free. If I do this, I said, I need more money. Enough to cover Emma's treatment. Diane nodded. Done. I'll triple your pay. And when this is over, when Emma's better, you can walk away. I'll find someone else. And if I break the rules, then you die. Or worse, you become one of them. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I said, I'll do it. She reached across the table and shook my hand. Her grip was cold, strong. Thank you, Marcus. You might have just saved the world. I wanted to believe her, but I knew the truth. I hadn't saved anything. I just volunteered for a prison sentence with no end date. The months passed. I kept working the night shift, kept following the rules. Diane taught me things she'd learned over the years. How to reinforce the threshold when it weakened. How to identify which customers were human and which were something else. How to sense when the barrier was thinning. She taught me the real purpose of the rules. Dryer number 7 was an anchor point, a place where the threshold was thinnest. Opening it created a breach. Machine number 12 was a trap. It held something that had tried to cross over decades ago. Something that would flood the world if it ever got free. The water wasn't water. It was the thing itself, spread across liquid form, waiting for release. The 3:33 a.m. knocking was a test. The things on the other side checking if the Guardian was still vigilant. If I ever answered, if I ever looked, they'd know the threshold was weak, and they'd push through. The red shirt was the mark, a sign that I'd been noticed, that I was connected to the threshold now. Part of it. I learned to live with it. My pay tripled like Diane promised. Emma's treatment continued. The bills got paid. She went into remission 6 months later. I could have left then, but I didn't, because I'd seen what was on the other side. I'd felt it, and I knew that if I walked away, someone else would have to take my place. Someone who might not be strong enough. Someone who might break. So I stayed. The job became routine. Almost normal. Almost. There were still nights when things went wrong, customers who weren't quite human, air growing cold, eyes in the shadows, voices calling my name from the storage room. But I learned to ignore them. I learned to focus on the rules and nothing else. Because the rules were the only thing keeping the world safe. I didn't make friends. Didn't talk about my job. Didn't let myself think too hard about what I was doing or why. I just showed up, did my shift, went home. It wasn't the life I'd choose, but it was the life I had. And most nights, when the laundromat was quiet and the machines hummed their steady rhythm, I could almost convince myself it was enough. Almost. If you're reading this, you're probably thinking about taking a night shift job, maybe at a laundromat, maybe somewhere else. Let me tell you something. Some places are thin, some places are hungry, and some places need guardians. If you ever get offered a job with strange rules, rules that don't make sense, rules that seem designed to keep you safe from something you can't see, pay attention. Those rules exist for a reason. Follow them. Because the alternative is worse than you can imagine. I'm still at Spin City, still following the rules, still keeping the threshold closed. Diane retired last year, moved somewhere warm, somewhere far from here. I'm the guardian now. And one day, I'll need to find my replacement. Maybe it'll be you. If it is, I'll give you the same advice Diane gave me. Follow the rules. Don't test them. And don't ask questions you don't want answered. Because some doors once opened can never be closed again. And some things, once seen, can never be unseen. Trust me, I know.